Good day everyone, this is Kevin A. De Los Reyes, and in this video we will tackle about the nature and effects of obligations. So in this video we will discuss the meaning of a specific or determinate thing, the different kinds of roots, meaning of accessions and accessories, the remedies of creditor in negative personal obligations, the meaning of fault or negligence, and also the meaning of presumption. Okay, so let's define first the meaning of a specific or determinate thing. So a thing is said to be specific or determinate, particularly designated or physically segregated others of the same class. For example, the watch I am wearing. So this thing is a specific thing because naka-specify dito kung alin yung watch yung tinutukoy. And that one is the one I am wearing. Second example is the car sold by X. So let us say the car, it's not a specific thing dahil hindi identify kung ano ba yung car na yon. But when we say the car sold by X, we can know that we are referring to the car na binenta ni X. And then the third one is my dog named Terror. So dito naka-specify yung pangalan ng dog. So this is also a specific thing. When we say specific, it is one of a class. So another one is the generic or indeterminate thing. So a thing is generic or indeterminate when it refers only to a class or genus to which it pertains and cannot be pointed out with particularity. Ibig sabihin, hindi natin matukoy yung particular na bagay na iyon. So for example, the sum of 1,000 peso. So dito, it is a generic thing. Bakit? Kasi sabi dito, the sum of 1,000 pesos. So, hindi natin alam kung yung 1,000 peso ba na yan ay yung bill. Hindi din natin alam kung random, like may 200, may 100, 500, na magiging total niya is 1,000. So, it is possible also na baka coins, yung 1,000 peso na to, the sum of 1,000 peso. So, dito, hindi natin matukoy yung particularity na itong 1,000 peso, okay? So, a 1995 Toyota car. So, halimbawa, kung itong 1995 Toyota car is may nakalagay dito na plate number, so dito, magiging specific thing na ito, or determinate thing. Okay, so third one is a cavan of rice. So dito hindi rin natin alam kung anong rice ba to, 'di ba? So it is generic thing. So ibig sabihin generic thing, it is only a class or genus. It is possible hindi natin alam kung yung cavan of rice na to, kung ano ba siyang rice, jasmine rice, maharlika, something like that. Ano pa bang class ng rice, uri ng rice, ganon. So, sinabi lang dito is a cavan of rice. So, let us distinguish the specific thing and generic thing. So, determinate thing is identified by its individuality. So, the debtor cannot substitute it with another, although the latter is one of the same kind and quality without the consent of the creditor. While a generic thing is identified only by its specie. So the debtor can give anything of the same class as long as it is of the same kind. Okay? So for example, if S obligation is to deliver B a Bulova calendar watch, S can deliver any watch as long as it is a Bulova with calendar. So this is an example of a generic thing. Kasi, hindi naman dito naka-specify kung alin sa Bulova calendar watch, kung anong klaseng Bulova calendar watch yung i-deliver ni S. Debtor can give anything of the same class as long as it is of the same kind. As long as it is a Bulova calendar. Okay? So, pwede niya i-deliver ni S ang anumang klaseng watch na yun. Basta, it is a Bulova calendar watch, okay? So second, if S obligation is to deliver to B one of his cars, the object refers to a class which in itself is determinate. Okay? So like for example, si S deliver siya. One of his cars is a 1995 Toyota car with plate number 1234. So his obligation is to deliver it to B, okay? So, it is also considered as determinate. But the debtor cannot substitute it with another, although the latter is of the same kind and quality without the consent of the creditor. Okay? So, sinasabi dito na kung ang kailangan i-deliver ni S ay yung 1995 Toyota car with plate number 1234, so ibig sabihin, hindi niya to pwede palitan. Hindi pwedeng yung isang kotse niya na lang yung ibigay niya kay creditor, okay? Kahit ba na 1995 Toyota car pa yon, as long as hindi yung plate number niya is 1234, so hindi pwede. Hindi niya dapat ibigay yon. Kasi nga, naka-specific eh. So, yun yun. Specific thing and generic thing distinguish. So, first, a determinate thing is identified by its individuality. The debtor can substitute it with another, although the latter is of the same kind and quality without the consent of the creditor. While in generic thing, it is identified only by its specie. The debtor can give anything of the same class as long as it is of the same kind. For example, if S obligation is to deliver to be a Bulova calendar watch, S can deliver any watch as long as it is Bulova with calendar. So, this is a generic thing. So, ibig sabihin, okay lang. Okay lang kahit anong watch yung ibigay ni S as long as it's a Bulova with calendar. While number 2, if S obligation is to deliver to be one of his cars, the object refers to a class which in itself is determinate. So like for example, si S, i-deliver niya yung 1995 Toyota car with plate number 1234KB. Pero napag-decide na lang ni S na hindi niya lang pala i-deliver yung may plate number ng 1234. So, gusto niya i-substitute yon ng, sabihin natin 1995 Toyota car din, pero iba naman yung plate number. So, dito, sabi nga, di ba, the debtor cannot substitute it with another, although the latter is of the same kind. So, kahit ba na parehas yung 1995 Toyota car, pero hindi naman ang plate number ay 1234, so, that is against obligation. Okay? So, like, for example, another example is yung 1,000 peso bill. Si X, nag-promise siya na magbibigay siya kay Y ng 1,000 peso bill with serial number 567. And then, napag-decide na lang bigla ni X na trip niya na rin pala na i-keep yung 1,000 peso bill na yon na may serial number na 567. Pero, hindi niya pwede palitan yun ng another 1,000 peso bill. Kahit pa parehas yung 1,000 peso bill, pero iba na yung serial number, hindi niya pwedeng gawin yon unless na may consent ni creditor. Okay, so that is a determinate thing. While on the other hand is yung generic thing naman na yon. So dito pwede bigay ni X kahit anong klase ng 1,000 peso bill kasi hindi naman naka-specify kung anong serial number ba dapat yung ibibigay niya kay Y. Okay, so yun yung pinagkaibahan ng determinate thing at ng generic thing. Okay, so now we will know the duties of debtor in obligation to give a determinate thing. Okay, so for the first duty of debtor is to preserve the thing. In obligations, to give real obligations, the obliger has the incidental duty to take care of the thing due with the diligence of a good father of a family pending delivery. So we have to take care. So debtor, we have to take care to the thing that we were going to deliver before the delivery. Okay? So, ano ba yung diligence of a good father of a family? The phrase has been equated with ordinary care or that diligence which an average or reasonably prudent person exercises over his own property. So, another term dito sa diligence of a good father of a family is ordinary care or ordinary diligence or pwede rin yung due diligence. Okay, so however, if the law or the stipulation of the parties provides for another standard of care, to follow that. So, yan yung tinatawag na another standard of care. And the next one is we have the factors to be considered. So, the diligence required necessarily depends upon the nature of the obligation and corresponds with the circumstances of the person, of the time, and of the place. So, as a general rule, the debtor is not liable if his failure to preserve the thing is not due to his fault or negligence, but to fortuitous events or force majeure. Okay, so that is under Article 1174. So, for example, S binds himself to deliver a specific horse to be on a certain date. So, in this example, pending delivery S has the additional or accessory duty to take care of the horse with the diligence of a good father of a family. Like, for example, is feeding the horse regularly, keeping it in a safe place, etc. So, in other words, S must exercise that diligence which he would exercise over another horse belonging to him and which he is not under obligation to deliver to B. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, kung anong pag-aalaga niya sa mga iba pang horse na nasa farm niya, kung ano yung pag-aalaga niya doon, ganun din yung gagawin niya doon sa horse na i-deliver niya kay B habang nasa kanya pa. Okay? So, but S cannot relieve himself from liability in case of loss by claiming that he exercised the same degree of care toward the horse as he would towards his own. Okay? So, for if such care is less than that required by the circumstances, if the horse dies or is lost or becomes sick, a consequence of his failures to exercise proper diligence, okay, so he is also liable. Liable pa rin siya sa damage na naging cause niya kay B. Kahit ba na yung pag-aalaga niya is the same with the other horses. Okay, so the accessory obligation of S to take care of the horse is demandable even if no mention thereof is made in the contract. Okay. So D, the reason for debtor's obligation. The debtor must exercise diligence to ensure that the thing to be delivered would subsist in the same condition as it was when the obligation was contracted. So that is only the one of the five. The second is deliver the fruits of the thing, and this is discussed under Article 1164. Third is deliver the accessions and accessories, and this is discussed under Article 1166. And deliver the thing itself. It is two kinds of delivery. You can see it on Article 1497 to 1501. And number 5 is answer for damages in case of non-fulfillment or breach. So this is discussed under Article 1170. Okay. So there are duties of debtor in obligation to deliver a generic thing. So it is the indeterminate thing naman. Number 1 is to deliver a thing which is of the quality intended by the parties taking into consideration the purpose of the obligation and another circumstances. So this is under Article 1246. And also to be liable for damages in case of fraud, negligence, or delay in the performance of his obligation or contravention of the tenor thereof. So sabihin na under Article 1170, they have the common liability in case of non-fulfillment or damages in fraud, negligence, or delay in the performance of obligation. Okay, so now let's discuss the different kinds of fruits. So there are 3. The first one is the natural fruits, are the spontaneous products of the soil and the young and other products of animals. So for example, the natural fruits, it is grass, all trees and plants on lands produced without the intervention of human labor. Ibig sabihin, ito yung mga fruits na natural na tumutubo without the intervention of human labor. And the second one is the industrial fruits, are those produced by lands of any kinds through cultivation or labor. For example naman dito is yung sugarcane, vegetables, rice, and all products of lands brought about by reason of human labor. So tatandaan natin na sa natural fruits, it is just natural. Yung kahit na hindi alagaan ng isang tao is tutubo yung fruit na yan. While industrial fruits, ito yung kailangan ng human labor. Kailangan ng pag-aalaga ng tao para mabuhay yung isang fruits or tanim. And another example of Natural fruits is yung bird. So, hindi naman siya pinapakailaman ng mga tao. Pero dumadami sila. So, that is also a sample of products of animals under the natural fruits. While industrial fruits, so yun nga, yung mga nabanggit na need ng cultivation or labor. And then the third one is the civil fruits, are those derived by virtue of a juridical relation. For example, is rents of buildings, price of leases of lands and other property, and the amount of perpetual or life annuities or other similar income. So, kaya siya naitawag na civil fruits, diba? For example, is rent of buildings. So, kasi nagkakaroon ng juridical relation between the lessor and the lessee, di ba? Yung mga landlord, yan, yung mga umuupa. So, yun. And also, included dito sa civil fruits is the interest. Okay? So now the right of creditor to the fruits. Okay, so the creditor is entitled to the fruits of the thing to be delivered from the time the obligation to make the delivery arises. Also, the intention of the law is to protect the interest of the obligee should the obliger commit delay, purposely or otherwise, is the fulfillment of his obligation. So remember that there is only a right of creditor to the fruits if it is generic, no, specific or determinate thing. Kapag generic thing naman, there is no right of creditor to the fruits. Okay? So now, when obligation to deliver fruits arises, so generally, the obligation to deliver the thing due and consequently the fruits thereof, if any, arises from the time of the perfection of the contract. Second, if the obligation is subject to a suspensive condition or period, it arises upon the fulfillment of the condition or arrival of the term. So, in a contract of sale naman, the obligation arises from the perfection of the contract, even if the obligation is subject to a suspensive condition or a suspensive period where the price has been paid. And then the fourth, in obligations to give arising from law, quasi-contracts, delicts, and quasi-delicts, the time of performance is determined by the specific provisions of the law applicable. So let's for this example, S sold his horse to B for 15,000. No date or condition was stipulated for the delivery of the horse. While still in the possession of S, the horse gave birth to a colt. Now the question is, who has a right to the colt? So in a contract sale, all the fruits shall pertain to the vendee from the day on which the contract was perfected. So that is under Article 1537. Hence, B is entitled to the colt. So this holds true even if the delivery is subject to a suspensive condition, like upon the demand of B, or a suspensive period if B has paid the price. Okay? So for example, if there's a date ng delivery, for example, delivery ng horse is March 2, ganyan. And then, binayaran na ni B yung horse for 15,000 noong February 28. But nanganak yung horse ng March 1. So therefore, nabayaran na ni B yung horse for 15,000 before manganak yung horse. Ngayon, ang mangyayari, so in contract of sale, ang mangyayari dyan is yung colt is belong to B. Kasi bayad niya na yung horse eh. Ibig sabihin, pag-aari niya na yon, even na hindi pa na-deliver yung horse sa kanya. But S has a right to the colt if it was born before the obligation to deliver the horse has arisen. Okay? And B has not yet paid the purchase price. So in this case, upon the fulfillment of the condition or the arrival of the period, S does not have to give the colt and B is not obliged to pay legal interest on the price since the colt and the interest are deemed to have been mutually compensated. So next is the personal right and real right. So what it is? The personal right, it is the right or power of a person, creditor, to demand from another, which is the debtor. So the personal right and real right. So first, let us define the personal right. So it is the right or power of a person, so that is the creditor, to demand from another, yun naman yung debtor, as a definite passive subject, the fulfillment of the latter's obligation to give, to do, or not to do. So that is personal right. While in real right, there is only a definite active subject without any definite subject. So, ibig sabihin dito sa real right, there is no debtor, while in personal right, there is a debtor. So, for example, X is the owner of a parcel of land under a torrent's title registered in his name in the registry of property. So, his ownership is a real right directed against everybody because there is no definite passive subject or debtor. So, if the land is claimed by Y, who takes possession, si X naman ay magkakaroon siya ng personal right to recover it from Y, which is Y is a definite passive subject of the property. Okay? So if the same land is mortgaged by X to Z, the mortgage, if duly registered, is binding against third persons. A purchaser buys the land subject to mortgage, which is a real right. Okay? So next is the ownership acquired by delivery. Ownership and other real rights over property are acquired and transmitted in consequences of certain contracts by tradition. That is Article 712, or delivery. So in sale, for example, mere agreement on the terms thereof does not affect transfer of ownership of the thing sold in the absence of delivery, actual or constructive of the thing. So the meaning of the phrase, he shall acquire no real right over it until the same has been delivered to him, is that the creditor, hindi pa siya yung owner until the specific time, until the specific thing has been delivered to him. Ibig sabihin, yung creditor, hindi pa siya yung magiging owner until na yung specific thing ay madi-delivered na sa kanya. Hence, when there has been no delivery yet, the proper court action of the creditor is not one for recovery of possession and ownership, but one for specific performance or rescission of the obligation. Okay? So, for example, S is obliged to give to B on July 25 particular horse. So, before July 25, B has no right over the horse. B will acquire a personal right against S to fulfill his obligation only from July 25. Okay? Pero kapag ang horse ay na-delivered on July 30, so B acquires ownership or real right only from that date. But if only, for example, July 20, S sold and delivered the same horse to C, which is C is, it is a third person, meaning that he is not a party to the contract between S and B, who acted in good faith without knowledge of the said contract. So C acquires ownership over the horse, and he shall be entitled to it against B. So S shall be liable to B for any damages. So under Article 1165, when what is to be delivered in a debt is a determinate thing, the creditor, in addition to the right granted him by Article 1170, may compel to the debtor to make the delivery. So if the thing is indeterminate naman or generic, he may ask that the obligation be complied with at the expense of the debtor. So if the obliger delays naman or has promised to deliver the same thing to two or more persons who do not have the same interest, he shall be responsible for fortuitous event until he has affected the delivery.